Hello everyone, I am OmnusI, here in my lair, and I have a question from the RPG Brigade, a Facebook group who is focused on spreading community of good folk for role-playing, our hobby, and these questions are designed to help people to keep thinking about role-playing games and why we do what we do and how we do what we do, uplift the community and maybe get some people interested in it. To the point. Today's question on the 8th of August is, how can we get more people playing? It's an interesting question because, like any hobby or pastime, we can grow. I mean, the population of the Earth is constantly increasing, and there are more people who could get drawn into this community. But realistically, just like any other pastime, it has a chance of fading away entirely. If nobody played baseball anymore, or actually no, football is a better one. If so many people got scared of the possibilities of brain injury, that people just didn't allow their kids to play football anymore, football would dry up for lack of talent. It literally would have to reinvent itself in order to exist. Role-playing games are in a similar state. They are a mental exercise. They are something that we do for fun, but at the same time, there is a certain commitment of using your brain either to create or adapt adventures for your players. And it's a lot easier to just pop a disc into the old PlayStation and go, or the Xbox, or a computer. Video games and other forms of entertainment have always been accused of whittling away the player base of role-playing games, providing quicker and easier entertainment. At one point, we were scared to death that the card floppers, the people who were playing these collectible card games like Pokemon, Magic the Gathering, and Yu-Gi-Oh!, were going to take away more players from our role-playing games. And there were a number of us who played both. But it was a thing at one point where there was a real concern that the player base was going to be whittled down and split because of these other entertainments that were coming along. And of course, there have been a plethora of board games out there that have been role-playing game light, or, again, threatening to whittle away a few more players here and there. We can't take our hobby for granted. Now, this is kind of a personal issue for me. My son is 12, which is a good age to start role-playing. You are old enough to learn about the consequences of actions. You can understand a role, and to a certain extent, you can start playing in other people's shoes for a bit, trying on different roles and different characters. You may not have the breadth of world experience that you can have great depth and perspective, although there are some prodigies in that regard. But for the most part, it's just a good time to learn about trying to think like other people, to get more empathy. And there's a lot of good things about role-playing games, and I've covered that already. But would I like for him to take up my hobby and enjoy it as I do? Well, I don't know too many parents who don't. If you have a hobby that you're proud of, I think most of us like to share this with the next generation. And to that point, I certainly do. Whenever Alex wants to do anything role-playing related, I generally try to encourage it. He has gotten to the point where he's come up and asked to play, and I've obliged him. We've got a little 5th edition game going on right now, just he and I. Nothing too serious, but fun. And he has made large leaps and bounds. Been very happy with that. Very happy. But as much as we are getting some new players from new generations, also a lot of us are turning older. We're not going to be around forever, and every day we lose more and more good gamers. I don't know where things stand as far as the population, where the equilibrium is, if we're gaining, if we're declining. I don't know. But I do what I can. There's a couple of things that I think that help. Number one is doing everything you can to spread the hobby by exposure. To this point, I do run open games in my local hobby store. I have a mega dungeon that I invite anybody who wants to play to come the first Wednesday of every month. I set up my dungeon. Don't have a lot of players involved, but anybody who comes up, I certainly give them a chance to roll up a character and fall in love with gaming, the experience if I can. I take all of my experience in gaming and try to tell an entertaining story and get input from all the players so that they can feel that they're included and that they're welcome. And I try to use my stagecraft and all the things that I've learned, my experiences, to try to make it as entertaining as I can. I also try to go out to at least one convention a year. It helps me to connect with other people, but also I try to be an ambassador of gaming when I'm at these things, try to help out those who look lost and bewildered, and just try to be a good citizen. I think a lot of that is an advantage that our hobby has, because most people are good folk with good imaginations who, because of the social nature of role-playing games, generally has a high balance of people who want to help others and want to draw people into this hobby. Now, those are the things that I do. I try to also on social media, primarily Facebook, G+, things like that. I try to be a good citizen there too. I self-edit, so I don't go saying all the things that I sometimes think about to some of the posts that I see. Try to maintain a positive outlook. Try to build up people rather than tear people down and bring people down to a level. That's not really what I'm about, not what I do best. I try to build up and I try to let people know that I want to work with them. Professionally as well. I've often given offers of free editing and assistance to people who are working on their own projects and just don't have a budget, and other kinds of advice using my large amounts of experience that I have in writing, editing, proofing, game design. I like to think I'm pretty good at those things, and by trying to encourage people and be positive, that is the way that we grow. It's not just that one person that you're affecting. It's everybody who sees the way that you're trying to affect that person and hopefully looks at that as a good thing and something that they can also do. Now, I think it's also fair to look at the opposite. What can we do that hurts our fellowship and our membership? And a lot of that is largely on divisive behavior that does nothing to advance our community. The elitism that some people have about certain games or certain approaches to gaming, I think, is a negative, and should be discouraged if at all possible. Sometimes you can't do it, but we do what we can. I think that groups that try to form these cliques that segregate themselves away from the communities rather than sharing their insights and making others better, oftentimes just can't be bothered with the social aspects of the greater body of our community, focusing only on their immediate little clique. I think that's also unfortunate, especially when it happens to high-profile gamers. I also think that spreading one's personal opinion as loudly as possible, trying to drown out other people as they scream from the rooftops their opinion, can also be a big negative. There are games like or experiences, such as, say, the Critical Role, which is a let's play of high-profile gamers. It can be kind of divisive. Some people love them and some people hate them, and it's rare where there's a middle ground. So it's a lot. I've seen a lot of screaming at people who hate them say the worst things possible about these people. The people who love them, likewise, cannot come to an agreement. And I think that's unfortunate, because it's a big field. There's lots of room for everybody, and this giant umbrella over which is the role-play game community. And we have to remember that people can enjoy things, and that doesn't necessarily make them bad or wrong. They may not like the same thing you do. That's fine. There's plenty of people who do like what you do. And if what you do like is not something that has a lot of people who like it, work harder. Draw people in. Show them the good things about what you like. And who knows? You might be able to get a body of people who also agree and come around and see things from your point of view. Maybe someday we'll even have a body of fans for my Dice File role-playing game that I'm working on, or the Traveling Hat Club role-playing game for kids that I've created. These are all things that I hope for as we go forward with hope into the future of our hobby. So, I am OmnusI. That is my answer to this question. Thank you for joining me. Thank you for being here with me. And I hope to see you next time that I am here in the Lair of OmnusI. Thank you and farewell.